Hello, friends. I hope you're having a great Advent season and that your Christmas preparations are all sorted for a wonderful and magical Christmas time. I know that many of you will be entering into this Christmas season with some anxiety, knowing that the new year is just around the corner and we really are not sure what we're going to have to face. And what I want to do is help you to get ready for 2022 so that you can enter the year not reacting, but being prepared to face whatever may come, to have a clearer sense of what you're going to have to face, and to feel confident in knowing how to navigate whatever's going to come. I've been helping churches for decades, predominantly in the worship space, but because of that work, I've been studying trends in churches. I've been looking for ways to navigate a changing internet-connected world. And I've had this question on my mind for decades. What does the church look like in this new world that's evolving? And I've been carrying that question with me for about 20 years. One of the greatest things that happened for me just before COVID hit was that I finally got to the place where I felt ready to start my own community, to begin to explore practically what a new kind of spiritual community could look like in this new world. And we're up to about 100 people now, and it's become a place where I keep hearing my members speak about what it means for them and how much it's helped them and how valuable it's been through this whole journey of the last couple of years with the pandemic. And I've learned a lot through those last 2 years as well. And so I really want to share some of that with you because I really believe it will help you, not just if you have an online church, but for every kind of church, for all the different ways the church manifests, because this new world will affect us regardless of what our community looks like. And the first thing that I'm so aware of that we need, particularly those of us who are church leaders, is to understand how change works generally, because let's face it, change is here to stay. COVID has accelerated change in so many ways, and we need not just to know for ourselves how to navigate change, but also how to lead our people through change. The changes happening in the world are impacting the church massively. Now, they didn't happen because of COVID, most of them. They've been around for years, decades. But COVID accelerated these changes, and they have sped up and they have affected us in ways that we wouldn't have been aware of a few years ago. And let's face it, change is a scary process, and it's been thrust on us, and many of us are exhausted and really struggling with having to navigate change. Change is tough for all of us, and especially because we feel out of control. And that's why it can be so helpful to know, first of all, you can't manage change. Change is beyond our control, beyond our power. We can't manage it. All we can do is navigate it well. Trying to manage change is a bit like trying to manage the wind. You can't do it, but you can connect to it. You can navigate it. You can cooperate with it, and you can get tremendous benefits when you do that. Most of us respond to change with either rejecting it by, we deny that it's even happening, or we resist it. Things are changing, but I'm not going to change. Or we just resign ourselves to it. Nothing can be done. What will be, will be. But what we actually need is to cooperate with the change, to work with the change. I'm not a sailor, but I often use the example of sailors navigating into a headwind. I'm told that obviously because the wind is blowing into your sails, you can't sail directly into a headwind. You have to set your sails and then tack across the headwind and then turn and tack the other way. And you can still move forward into this headwind, but you have to use the wind intelligently to do that. Change is like that. We need to know what to do at each stage, wherever the change is coming from, whatever it's doing. And so I want to share with you what I've been talking about for years in organizations and churches is how change works. And it always begins with a catalyst. Something sparks the change. COVID was a catalyst that brought on massive changes in the last couple of years. In our own relationships, there can be catalysts for change. You lose a job, you fall in love, you have a new child, a member of your family dies. Whatever it may be, these catalysts are always there. And the moment a catalyst has begun, the moment we realize that there is a catalyst at work in our lives, it's already too late to stop the change process. And so all we can do is surrender to it. And the key thing we need to do when a catalyst for change is happening is we need to nurture our faith, because we're going to need it to navigate the process of change that's ahead. And as leaders, if we can help our people to move away from the resistance and the resignation and the rejection of change, and we can help them to begin to cooperate with change, if we can teach them how to do that and we can give them what they need to nurture their faith, we set them up to be able to navigate whatever changes will come much more effectively. And when we cooperate with change like that, it may take a while, but it always ends up in a positive outcome. When we resist it or reject it or resign ourselves to it, it almost always ends up in a negative outcome in the end. And so we need to work with that catalyst, surrendering, nurturing our faith. Once we've identified the catalyst, once it's taken root in our lives, the very next thing that happens is chaos. And chaos is unavoidable. We hate it. We want to go back into where we came from. Everybody is talking about getting back to normal, but normal doesn't exist anymore. It's a little bit like the Israelites in the wilderness longing to go back to Egypt. That's not going to happen. All we can do is commit. When chaos hits, we need to commit. We can't go back to how it was. And in that commitment, we need to nurture our courage. You can never know how long the chaos is going to last, but I can tell you this, the more you resist the chaos, the longer it'll take. But when you can commit to it, when you can enter the chaotic process, there's creativity there. And it helps us move through it faster. However long it might be, it's not going to be as long as it would be if we were resisting it and pushing back against it the whole time. And if we can do that, if we can commit to the chaos and if we can nurture our courage to carry us through, there will come a point of clarity, a moment where suddenly we see what the new world is that's emerging, where we begin to get a sense of direction and a sense of we now know what we're dealing with. And the temptation there is to rush in and get going and do things as quickly as we can. But what you really want to do is be patient. You want to slow down so that we have time to understand this new reality, that we listen to it and we allow it to teach us what the new reality that we're entering into looks like, so that we then can know what to do with it. And once we've done that, we come to that wonderful place of cohesion. In cohesion, we now know what to do, we know the lay of the land, and we're able to operate at our optimal level, and we get a lot done with very little effort often. But the key thing to cohesion is that there's a lot of experimentation, a lot of trying and failing, trial and error, a lot of discovery still happening. And so we need to be generous with one another as we learn to navigate this new world. And as a leader, we want to empower our people. We want to encourage them as much as we can, more than you might think you need to. And when we can lead people strongly through the catalyst, into the chaos and through it, to that wonderful moment of clarity that comes, and then into the cohesion that follows, we can navigate whatever might be thrown at us. Just that navigating of change, if you can do that well, I can tell you now that 2022 will be a much better year than the years that we've had over the last little while. And so in the light of this, I would invite you to do an audit of your church. Where are you now overall in your community in the change process? Where are your different ministries? Because your church as a whole can be in one stage and different ministries can be in a completely different stage. You as a church might feel that you're in the chaos phase, but you might find that your children's ministry is already at the point of clarity, and maybe one of your other ministries, maybe your mission and outreach, is just at the beginning of a catalyst that's going to lead them into a place of change. So where are you, and where are your different ministries? And where are you personally? In your own ministry, in your relationships, because all of these different areas where the change process is working, they're asynchronous, but they also all affect one another. And so it's important for us to be able to identify where we are. And if you do that audit, and then apply it to the process I've just given you, that will help you to know what you need to do in each area where change is happening. I suspect you're thinking at this stage that it's impossible to know what lies ahead. There's no way we can predict what 2022 is going to bring. Well, actually, I want to suggest that it's not impossible. We can see something of what lies ahead of us. As I mentioned, COVID didn't create the trends, it just accelerated them. And that means that whatever is lying ahead, it will still be affected by these trends that started before COVID and that we now are more aware of because of COVID. So that already gives us some data to work with as we go forward. Yes, of course, there'll be surprises. Of course, there'll be unexpected curveballs. But the challenges that arise out of those surprises are most likely going to be continuous with the trends we're already experiencing and with the disruption that we've already identified. And so on the basis of that, we can begin to extrapolate and look ahead. But also with this process of change in mind, we can be prepared even for that which is unexpected. So I'm going to leave it there for now. I am going to chat to you again on Monday, and I want to share with you the one primary reality that you're going to need to accept and learn to navigate in 2022 and beyond. So stay tuned for that. I hope this has been helpful, and I hope you'll be able to use it and put it into practice. Thanks so much for listening.